Everybody, Elizabeth, Silvernest Homeschooling, mom of four, and we are taking you through my library for homeschool / fun books for my kids. I've been collecting these for many, many years. Some of them were mine when I was a kid, and so we are going to go to the next shelf. If you like this kind of thing, let me know. If you're looking for a book series, having more questions about any of the books that I'm going over, please feel free to comment below, and I'm just here to try to help you out with some of the stuff we've gone through. Again, you don't need all these books to homeschool. The library is great, but I did discover during COVID that there were some limitations to what I could get access to, and because I myself love books, I tend to collect them. So let's go through here. Started talking about this in the last video. Ramona series, here's the rest of it. So the other book should be up here, but Ramona and her mother. Looks like I have 2 copies of Ramona Quimby age 8 because I love it that much. And then Henry and the Paper Route. So when Beverly Cleary wrote all these stories, she actually would take different characters in the books. So Ramona meets Henry in her series, but then Henry gets his own series, and then Beezus, her big sister, gets her own couple of books. And so they all kind of interact with each other, and we find Henry's adventures to be very, very funny. Eleanor Tidbits is also another character in their group, and Beverly grew up in a small town in Oregon, and she based her stories in the 50s about that time period. But somehow when she wrote these, they feel very timeless. They don't feel like they're stuck necessarily in that time period, besides the maybe more freedom and expectations on the kids. But great, because the kids have to work hard. They have to, like for Henry to make money, he has a paper route, that kind of thing. But also they just are really real with how they fight, or the scrapes that they get in, the things they have to solve. So hilarious, great reader louds. And then of course the one I remember when I was a kid, Ramona the Pest, because I had a big sister and people, that's Henry Huggins again. Ramona is the most famous character from the Beverly Cleary series, but that or Ralph S. Mouse. There's even a movie of Ralph S. Mouse that is really fun because stop motion animation. But yeah, if you're looking for good reader louds, great books, these should be at your library. Out of all the books that we look at today, these probably are my favorites. All right, what else we got on this shelf? We have the Great Brain series. Looks like they're kind of mixed in, so let's pull them together. All right, so we've got The Great Brain is Back. The Great Brain Does It Again. Me and My Little Brain. More Adventures of the Great Brain. More Adventures of the Great Brain, second copy. And More Adventures of the Great Brain, third copy. I asked herself, first of all, why would I have 3 copies? Well, I do have 4 kids, and some of them would want to take these with them, and some of them own these, but they all ended up in the same place, so we didn't lose them. And then, so sometimes I'll grab them for free, find them in a little library, or our school does a lot of books where we swap around and donate books to this pile, and people can take whatever they want. But this series is one of those laugh aloud reading stories about settling towns after they've been mostly settled, but still very much the beginning of time. Pioneers in Utah with a Mormon family. And the Great Brain is the older brother of the boy writing the stories, John D. Fitzgerald. And they get into all kinds of trouble. And the Great Brain has to solve things. And sometimes he's really arrogant and obnoxious. But he does have a really good brain, and it's funny how the series progresses. And so my kids really love them. There's certain ones that are still available for sale. You can tell from the covers which ones are more available, but other ones I've bought on thrift books because my kids love them so much, and they're begging for the other books, and they're very expensive, more than I would want them to be. But it goes back to collecting things that the kids would enjoy reading, balancing with my budget on books. So this one was $3. It's not too bad. But when I bought it, of course, I bought it on thrift books. It was actually more money than that because, yeah. So, but I do really like this series for, again, what life was really like in the frontier, from the perspective of people who have to work hard. They're all brothers in the family. There's this one hilarious story where the older boys always get sick first, and so the younger boy is put into bed with them so the mom can deal with all the sicknesses at the same time. And so he decides to go get the measles first so that he can be sick first and then eat food while his brothers are stuck being sick. And but it backfires on them because they give him the silent treatment. And so some of them are how he gets conned out of stuff. But anyway, yeah, super hilarious. Great reader louds. On the same vein, these are from my childhood. Sorry, make the camera join my hand. These are from my childhood, and so this one I actually owned when I was a kid in Grandma's attic, and then the more stories from Grandma's attic. And then a lot of these I added to the collection as my kids grew up and started reading, and they are all based on Grandma telling stories to her granddaughter, and when she lived on the frontier, and they're all Christian-based stories, so they're adventures that she had herself, her grandma had, right, in Grandma's attic, and then she wrote them down, but she also shared like her grandma's lessons that she learned from her grandma as well. So some of them are more biography. I mean, they're all biography, but like these actually have a moral lesson in every single one. Whereas you get into some of these and they're more just the stories of what happened, but they're all true stories. As you can tell, again, I'm getting 2 copies because I have multiple kids that might want to take them with them. 19 Wedding Bells Ahead, 18 and On Her Own. She became a school teacher, 16 and Away from Home. So they really do a good job of showing God and God's work in their lives, as well as what life was really like on the frontier. So for example, this story is all about a little lamb that was probably going to die, and the little girl decides to try to save its life, and all the hijinks and adventures and crazy. Lots of humor, lots of sense of humor, lots of adventures. The grandma's always laughing at herself for the decisions that she made. This is the way they come published now. Treasures from Grandma's Attic. So they're kind of updated with their artwork. And I love these books. They're great for read aloud, youngest kid, all to the oldest kid. But also, if your kids really like the Little House on the Prairie series, and you in any way love God, then these are great for reading to your kids and the lessons learned, because they're done in such a funny way. That's why my copies are kind of beat up, because I've read them so many times. All right, let's see. Another great book published early on, I think 1800s. Louisa May Alcott, also famous for Little Women. This is my favorite series by her, 8 Cousins, and the second book is A Rose in Bloom. And so I just happened to pick up, these are the modern covers that they had. So one of my kids decided her copy could live here because she had so many books in her bookshelf. The Hazardous Tales, these are my sons. These are great for history. They are intense. They are for probably middle school, high school, in my opinion, but they are all graphic novels and do deal with the different parts of the different wars or different adventures. These are my daughter's favorite Choose Your Own Adventure series. This one is the Westward Expansion, an interactive history adventure. And so you get to do, it's basically choose your own adventure, but from a history point of view. So this is where we decided to put them, most of them. The Amazing Girls of Arizona. I bought this when I was doing COVID, and I just wanted a huge pile of books that I thought would be really helpful for our history. And they are true stories of young pioneers, and we have not read them. I think maybe one of my daughters read a couple of them, but we didn't actually get through them. So I'm saving this for the next time we do our American the History unit, which is why a lot of these stories are set in America in this section. The Terrible Wave. This one is all about I think it's the molasses that came through? Anyway, it's one of the tragedies. Again, I think I made one of my kids read this, or I'm saving it for, but they just didn't make the cover that exciting, and so my kids haven't really wanted to read this. All right. These are from my kids' high school history class, BOM, that we do here at the house, and so I'm saving this for next one, but my son liked it enough where he wants to keep it. More Hazardous Tales, Treaties, Trenches, Mud, and Blood. Nathan Hale. This one is also for our American History High School. Prisoner B3087, also from American High School History. These are I think they were all from the, not Knotgrass, what else have we used? Oh, Guest Hollow. The Guest Hollow American History. And I do like their Guest Hollow American History. I don't like the Guest Hollow World History. We won't be using that again, but the American History is hard but good for high school. God's Smuggler. This should be in a different place. This is the true story of Brother Andrew, who brought Bibles to people, and I have a couple of my kids have read this already. It's really, really good, but I would probably put it in a world history pile rather than an American history pile. Probably maybe Prisoner. No, I'm not sure. Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. This is from my college age, but it's so good. He was in the concentration camps, and the stuff that he wrote while he was there is very, very solid, very much high school, college age level. So we put it in the high school pile for one of my daughters who is more advanced in her reading than some of my other kids. Yeah, this is I would recommend this for anybody. All right, then we go into my daughter's, used to be her favorite series ever. Well, actually, no, let's finish with, her current favorite still is the Interactive History Adventures of You Choose series. And yeah, Ancient Greece. So she just read this one again. She has a huge pile of those. Some of my other videos, you've seen them. But she used to love Horrible Histories. They were her favorite. She's read these a couple times. Groovy Greeks. And then she didn't love this one as much. Best Ever Greek Legends. But I think it's because I put it on her must-read list. Incredible Incas. Are We There Yet? Europeans Meet Americans. Even More Terrible Tutors. Ireland. Measly Middle Ages. Ancient Ancestors. Awesome Ancient Ancestors. Top 50 Kings and Queens. Shakespeare Stories. Vile Victorians. Shakespeare and His Dramatic Acts. This is from someone else. These were on her maybe list and she didn't read them, and I wasn't sure if I'd have her read them again in the future or not. So I just left them on this pile. And those, what do I say about Horrible Histories? The idea is it's history with all the bad nitty-gritty bits left in. I would say it's from a British point of view. So a lot of the books have to do with British history. Makes sense. They were published in England, UK. But they have a lot of comics in them. And so she started out by reading the comics, and that encouraged her to then read the books. And so I would say this series has really caused my daughter to love reading. But I would say that if you feel really strongly about non-Christian literature and writing not being included in your homeschool, these are probably not the books for you. And I would definitely start with one, maybe from the local library if you can find it, or borrow one and read it yourself before you hand it to your kids. My kids have a very big diet of very healthy Bible and all kinds of things that balances it out. And we actually use these to help compare and contrast history, so that she has read so much from this series, but also from other series. So she's able to actually go through and logically figure out which parts are being told her for propaganda and other things. But also, if your kid gets grossed out by things like poop and blood and that kind of thing, these are definitely not for them. They do talk about like war and like gruesome, gross, disgusting ways that people did things like wash their clothes in urine, things like that. So if that is not for you guys, then that is not your series. All right. But the Sugar Creek Gang, back to mysteries, probably should be on the bottom shelf. These are a Christian mystery series. And she went through a season where she absolutely fell in love with these. And they're all brothers and friends, all guys pretty much, that run around and solve different kinds of mysteries. And so we were picking up books for her left and right on those. And then she like kind of moved on because, you know, that's what you do when you're getting older. So, but this is what we have left. Probably should be, like I said, living down there. So anyway, I hope that was helpful and interesting. Nice to know there are books in my pile that nobody's read. And that's probably true for all of us. And I probably should, I think I'm waiting until I finish teaching world history and American history for the last time before I do a true declutter. And so some of these are sitting in the hold shelf. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that was fun. I hope that was interesting. I hope that made your January a little less snowy or rainy, depending on where you're living. And yeah, hope you're enjoying this series. Thanks. Have a great day.